Hi guys, I'm going to be doing a video. Basically, I think a lot of people might need this video because some people are kind of unaware when, things like this occur. Okay, how to tell if someone doesn't like you or if you're unwanted. Okay, do they consistently ignore you when you say hi, or you call the name and call, like, you're like, oh hey Jesse, or whatever, and they just, like, they kind of don't say anything. They know you're there, but they just keep moving. That's a telltale sign that you're not really wanted. Okay. Alright. Number 2, do they often hang out and you're just never invited? Like, you never find out about the hangout until weeks later. That could just be their way of, like, just tolerating you in a small setting, like you go to a school with them. That could be their way of just dealing with you there and just not having to deal with you outside of school. Number 3, eye rolling and agitated body language. Like, let's say you come over, you're like, hi, and they're like, or if they're like doing like this, that's also another sign that you're not wanted. And believe it or not, many people don't catch on to these things. Like, I had a situation where I felt like this towards a person. I remember this girl, like, from way back when. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a mega flashback to 6th grade. That was a long time ago. But okay, I remember that I didn't always like this person. There was this dude that we were on a field trip with, and every girl liked him, and me and him had a Pokemon obsession, so I was really happy that I talked to him about that. So we were at a restaurant, and he said that I could sit next to him, so I was like, yes. So I put my cup full of, ironically, Sierra Mist next to him, and I get up to go to the bathroom, and I come back, and she's sitting in my seat. I said, excuse me, this is my seat. She says, oh, well, you can sit somewhere else. I was like, no, honey, that's not how it works. I was like, you need to get up. This is not your seat. I was sitting here already. Well, can't you sit somewhere else? Because I was talking to him. I left my drink here to mark my spot, and I want to sit here. I don't want to sit somewhere else. She's like, well, like, I mean, I know you were here first, but I want to talk to him, so could you just sit somewhere? And then eventually I got really pissed off. I'm like, no, move now. So we're about to eat, and I'm starving at this point because we weren't served lunch until 6 o'clock because we were on a really long field trip and we were doing sightseeing and stuff like that, and all that good stuff. She went and told one of the monitors on me, and when I was just about to take a bite of my food, they're like, Jasmine, could you come talk to us for a minute? We need to speak to you. And I said, no, I'm trying to eat. And they're like, we nearly need to talk to you. Now, if you guys, I think pretty much this is the whole world, if you're starving and someone tries to keep you from eating, you get a little bit pissed off. So I was like, no, I'm trying to eat. I don't care what's going on with her. And she says, you need to come with us. So I get pissed off, and I have to get up. And she's like, okay, Shelly tells me you two had a run-in. Shelly's feelings were hurt. I said, I don't care. I'm starving. Like, I was, like, really pissed off at this point because I had been fed up with dealing with her. And I told them what happened. And she's like, well, Jasmine did put her drink there tomorrow. And she's like, well, still, I don't think it's fair how she talked to me. I'm like, okay, just because I wouldn't let you do my seat doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Like, if you guys put your stuff down and you come back and some jackass has moved your shit, like, personally touch your stuff and moved it, you're pissed off because you're like, don't touch my things, ever. So, yeah. But fast forward a few years to my last trip I had to do at school. Well, not had to, but I got to. My senior year, and I was like, seminars back to our original room where we were sent off to do the seminars in the first place. I said, well, I'm getting annoyed with her. I think it's time for me to move because I chose to sit there. And so she asked, like, why are you leaving me? And I'm like, Like, I didn't play back with her. So I moved my stuff, and then I had to go to the bathroom. And so I told her, I was like, I'll be right back, I'm going to the bathroom. And so I come back, and guess what? She's sitting across from me, and I'm like, she's moved her seat, like, she's turned her seat around and gotten into a spot. And so I got pissed off, and I started, like, calling her a stalker and stuff, because technically, she'd been following me around all day, and I'm like, you're such a fucking stalker. Like, I guess they're like mini stalkers, you know, like Klingons. Like, you ever get someone that you really don't like who just sticks to you like glue? Like that. So yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are clueless about these signs. But yeah. You'd just be surprised. Number 4, basically, try to get to the bottom of why you're being ignored. Just ask them, do you guys not like me? Did I do something that made you mad or whatever? And if you did do something to piss them off, try to make amends for it. Sometimes groups, like my group, didn't forgive the person because basically it was in a totally different situation. It had nothing to do with the girl I just talked about. It was just a dude. Okay. Number 5 is really important. If they tell you how they feel and they don't want to hang out with you anymore, do not become a stalker. Don't start following them or sit with them anyway, even though you know you're not wanted. And I should say at this point, if they told you that they don't like you and you still won't leave them alone, because this is what happened with the person I'm currently having problems with at my college. Don't be surprised that if you sit with them or hang around them anyway or try to, that you get treated poorly. And I'm not saying that it's right, because no one should ever be treated poorly, but you really shouldn't be shocked if... sorry, itchy eye. You really shouldn't be shocked if they're rude to you, or... Sorry, I got something in the eye. If they're rude to you, or if they make mean comments like this dude. He claims he's Japanese. Now, I think this is weeaboo. Like, I don't think that I'm quite trans, like, I'm a weeaboo. I don't really know why I'd have to be labeled in the first. Like, people are usually going to say weeaboo, Japanese, or otaku, which is fine, but this dude is a straight up weeaboo in my opinion, because he says he's Japanese. Okay. That's fine, but he doesn't. He claims he knows. Okay, you know how some people say weeaboos or shinabi because they say, oh, well, they don't know anything about Japanese culture and they claim to know everything. I would come off this way if it wasn't for the fact that he told us that he knows everything about the Japanese culture. And I spoke a simple Japanese phrase to him, which is a really easy one, Ohayou gozaimasu. And he didn't know what that meant. Now, he claimed he spoke fluent Japanese, but he didn't know any of the phrases. And then I asked him if he knew what Kachiyama meant, which is Japanese for fire crackling mountain. That was I got that from a story, but I found out that that's actually true. Kachiyama means fire crackling mountain, and it was he didn't know what it meant. And I'm like, well, you'd think that you would know what that was. And I asked him if Mount Fuji was considered sacred in Japan, and he says, well, it's just a mountain. I'm like, you're stupid. You don't know anything. And the problem is this dude he always had to be right, even though he was wrong. And like, we'd be in a conversation, I was like, we were talking about Pinocchio, which I know you guys are like, how old are you again? But we were talking about how much we like to watch it. We were talking about, I was like, you know, in the Italian version, he actually has a really bad temper and he kills a cricket. And she's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, in the Italian version of Pinocchio, he's got a wretched temper and he kills the cricket during one of his tantrums. He squashes it. And she's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, he's like, oh, don't go there, man. Don't go there. I know all about that. Don't go there. I'm like, okay, first of all, you sound like a desperate high school girl trying to get involved with the cheerleading squad. Second of all, you don't even know what we're talking about. And this person always butted into our conversation. So we asked him, we asked him at one point, I approached him, I was like, I'm sorry, but we would like if you found, well, actually, I'm going to tell you how I exactly said it, because we've been dealing with this for weeks on edge, and he was so rude and obnoxious towards us. That was the problem, but he clung to us, and I was like, I'm sorry, but you got to find somewhere else to eat lunch, man. He's like, and I'm like, this is big fat kid too. He just kept shooting me dirty looks. So I told him, I'm like, I didn't want to be mean to him, but he's like, okay, you shouldn't talk about someone when they're right in earshot. I was like, I just told you we weren't trying to hurt your feelings, so well, mission epically failed. And I'm like, okay, listen to me, you fat Japanese wannabe motherfucking dope boy. You don't know. And you know what the true test to tell that this jack-off was a weeaboo? He didn't know how to open a bottle of Ramune. It took him forever to figure out how to do it. And I'm like, you are a fucking idiot. The first place I got those things, I think it was like in a little shop, and I'd never seen them before. But even I knew how to open them, and I actually could read the instructions on the label. So it was like, it's like okay, so you're such a fucking weeaboo. He didn't know what Domo was, but he claimed he knew everything about Japan. So if you know everything about Japan, that even includes the little caricatures. And that's my new box plushie. The guy I'm dating right now got it for me. But yeah. So he's just like, he didn't know anything, and he was very rude. Like, when we'd be trying to have a conversation, he would just, like, keep butting in and claim he knew everything about the subject. Like, he said he knew everything about Arabic culture, everything about Japanese culture. One of my friends is really deep into Arabic culture. Not my cup of tea personally, but she likes it. It's cool. And we're like deep into it. Like, I'm deep into French cultures, Italian, especially Asian culture. I love that. And one of my friends is deep into like, you know, what culture is he? I think he's into British culture, which I'm sort of beginning to like as well. So he would just claim that he knew everything, and he just annoyed us. So basically, if you're this kind of person and people don't like have made it clear that they don't want you around, you continue to stick around like he did, don't be surprised if you're treated rudely. But he tried to report us, and we basically just told them that we asked him to go eat somewhere else because of the way he was acting, and they suggested to him that he should do that because they're like, why would you want to be around people who aren't nice to you? So yeah, if you're in this situation, the best thing is to do is to move away, because I guarantee you won't be treated nicely. Okay, here's a side note. If they're nice about the situation, don't try to spread rumors about it. Because we tried to be nice to this person. We told them, like, we just would rather we not eat lunch together. And he wouldn't move, so what we did was we moved. We moved to the other side of the table, and we basically had everybody else over there, and we were away from him. We moved to the down part of the table, like, when we had to go, like, for studying and stuff. And he has a class he takes, and sometimes they talk about certain incidences, and he says, well, there's one group I'm with, they bully me, they think they know about my ethnicity, and they have bull guarded the lunch table and told me that I could no longer sit. Yeah, we did. We did not. Okay. Yeah, we did. In his opinion, Bogart lunch table. The thing is, we moved. We're like, okay, he's not gonna move, so let's move, okay? Even though we had been sitting there, like, almost, like, not almost, the entire time we had been going there, we sat there. So we were just a little bit pissed off about that. So he's like, one of my friends was in that class, and he was like rolling his eyes the entire time. He's like, this is bullshit, because that's not what happened. We moved away from him, and now he's upset. Now, if they're nice about it, don't start, like, if they're not being, you know, pissy at you, don't start rumors that they were being mean, and that's why you left, because that's just rudeness, and it's untrue, and plus that you really piss people off, because I can't stand this person. Like, he continues to try to talk to me, and I would not recommend that, especially if you know the person doesn't like you. Because each time I rude comment at him, like, I've called him names, I won't deny that, but the problem is he's been so rude about everything that it's just really hard to be nice to him. So, okay, so that was side note number 1. Stick to the truth. Wait. And number 2 is basically like, don't react rudely to them, like this. Yeah, we were nice about it as possible until the bitter end when he started getting too much for us to swallow, and he still was big. And another telltale sign you're not wanted is if they consistently move tables away, like, okay, like we did, like, let's say they were all hanging out somewhere and you were never invited. That's a sign that you just weren't wanted there, and people would rather not have had you around. If they consistently move hangout spot, or let's say, like, this is how we were, like, especially in my in one of my classes. This is how we all had desks that were kind of clustered together on one side of the room, and we migrated to the other side, and we just made sure there was no room possible for him to sit there. And of course, he noticed. If people do this to you, then that is another sign that you're not wanted. Or if they like move hangout spots, like we had a certain place we studied, we went somewhere else to study, which actually was pretty good because like we had more room there. We had certain places around campus we'd hang out. We hung out somewhere else. Like we always were hanging out by the coffee machines because we're coffee addicts. So we'd hang out at different coffee machines. And when you figured out, okay, let's say you discover where they are if you're the person who's being avoided. To be honest, chances are they're gonna move. And if you were really nice and they just didn't like you, then you deserve to be treated better. But if you're actually being a jackass, douchebag, like the person in my story, then you kind of had it coming, because we kept asking him to stop doing what he was doing because we wanted to be nice about the situation, and he just wasn't budging. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, don't expect you to be treated nicely if you're a dick, pretty much. It's like people will begin to avoid you because of that. And basically, like, you guys are going to be like, okay, weeaboo, wakis, otaku, whatever the fuck you guys are going to call me. I'm a hardcore Japan lover, and I will always be that way. It doesn't matter what you dicks who don't like me say about me. I'm always going to be this way because I keep it 100% real because I heart Japan. Anyways. Basically, like, we do, like, okay, if you guys have seen J-dramas, like, okay, my perfect one, the one I love the most is Life. Basically, when she tried to talk to them, they like, oh, I want to go to the vending machine, oh, I've got garden club, oh, I have to go to, or some of them would just be reading a book, like, and when this person would approach them, they'd be like this. They'd pretend like they couldn't be bothered with hearing what they were saying. And we did that a lot to this person because that's actually, people say that that's actually ruder. I actually don't think so, because it's like, people get the hint just as fast if you're quiet as if you say that you don't like them. And he seemed to get it at some point because he'd just walk away. Like, we'd sit there and either pretend to be reading or actually reading something, and he'd leave. So yeah, like, people consistently do that to you. Or another thing we do to this person is we pull out our phones and always start texting or talking on it or whatever, and we would just like pretend like we didn't even know they were there. Like, he stood right in front of me one time. He was like in my face, and I'm like, so I just turned my face to this side. I'm like, so what do you guys want to do today? Like, I have an exam, I think, in my 3rd class. Maybe we can meet after that. Or is that no good for you? Okay, yeah, because I got the vanilla coffee and stuff, and it's really good, and I wanted to drink it before we just basically went off into separate worlds until it basically got to the point where even if he was there, we didn't notice him. So, yeah, but to be honest, if you're watching this video because you're worried that you're being blown off, if you're being a jerk, you're most likely not going to want to acknowledge it. But if you actually were being a really sweet, genuine person and they just for whatever reason, didn't take to you, then try to find someone else to hang out with. And, don't continue staying around people who are going to be mean to you, because I won't deny that we are rude to this person because of the way they've treated us. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I am so crazy. That's like... It's like 4 in the morning. That's like time for bed talk. It's like, thanks for watching. Okay. Alright, thanks for watching. Mata ne.